T. It's in the name.
Welcome into the Helping Healing Humor with Ben and Travis podcast. On today's episode, we're going to be playing a table topics game, question and answer. They are not a sponsor of this podcast, but they're providing us with some good questions. Table topics, do-it-yourself therapy. So we'll get right to those questions and those answers right after this important message.
Hey friends, we've got something really special to share with you today, a brand new children's book that's all about faith, family, and finding joy in the middle of life's challenges. It's called The Adventures of Ben and Travis and the Joy Rider. This heartwarming story follows a big brother in a wheelchair who uses his creativity, courage, and a whole lot of love to help his little brother and cousin overcome life's obstacles. Together they show us that joy isn't about what you have, it's about how you choose to face the ups and downs of life. This book is full of fun, adventure, and hope. It's perfect for bedtime stories, Sunday school libraries, or as a meaningful gift for the kids in your life. Plus, it's a great way to start conversations with your family about resilience, compassion, and faith. Pre-orders are open now, and when you order early, you'll be one of the first to get your hands on this inspiring story. Just head over to benandtravis.com/books. That's benandtravis.com/books and pre-order your copy today. Give your kids a story that will make them smile, laugh, and believe in the power of joy.
I'm Travis Creasy, the pulpit minister, the preaching minister at Westgate Church of Christ in Dothan, Alabama. And as most of the time, always pretty much, Ben Hayes, the all-pro counselor, preaching minister at Highland Park Church of Christ, 3-Chord Counseling and Muscle Shoals, and Mars Hill Bible School. And then he happens to just be the best dad in the world, too. So, man, what a blessing.
Don't know about that last one, but I do at least attempt at being a dad and doing some of the things we need to. It was a busy day, busy weekend. Been a really busy weekend. We had a lot going on. And of course, got to watch a little bit of football yesterday. Didn't get to watch the whole thing, but pretty excited that the Tide continues to roll pretty well. So happy about that.
Yeah. Always exciting when they play well and rock and roll and almost give us a heart attack. I don't know why.
Why do we still care so much?
Yeah.
That's the question. Why do we care?
Yeah. Sometimes it's a curse being a former football coach because you know more than you really should. And so it's always you're playing the next play ahead, trying to think ahead. And I don't have a headset. And for the most part, I'm pretty happy about that. But boy, howdy. It was a lot closer than I think the final score said. But anyways, it's good to see you, Ben. It has been a full day of ministry, full weekend. We've had family come down and visit. We've had Riverside Church folks come down and visit. So it's always good to see them and spend time with them. It is Riverside's fall break. So we may be seeing some more people down this way as they make the trip to Panama City. But yeah. We didn't pick these questions ahead of time. They're literally they're pictures on my phone. And so we'll throw out 3 or 4 just to kind of tell how much time we've got. And of course, we'd love to hear your answers either at benandtravis.com or wherever this is broadcast or posted. If you can leave a comment, feel free to answer the questions. And so with Ben being the professional counselor, all pro, I guess we'll let him ask the first question if he's got one.
All right. Yeah. I mean, some of these are kind of serious and some of them are a little bit goofy, but I guess we'll lead off with maybe one that's kind of in between. What parts of your life or of you fight with each other? Like, I know sometimes from a biblical perspective, we talk about the flesh and the spirit sort of wage war, but are there particular parts of yourself and who you are that tends to fight with each other?
Well, I think there's some of this that is inherent in the jobs that we fulfill in ministry, right? When we get up and proclaim God's word, we're ultimately trying to be pleasing to God. But then there's also 100 or so people out there from all different backgrounds, different things. We have leadership in our church, elders, different things of that nature that all have different ideas about what should be going. And I'll just be honest, and people probably know this about me. I'm a people pleaser. Like, I want to please everybody. And there was this wise coach many moons ago that said, if you want to make everybody happy, sell ice cream. And I'm not selling ice cream. So I would say the people pleaser aspect of my personality. I want everybody to have a good time, if not for a long time, but have a good time. And that doesn't always really G-haul, to use some random phrase, with the job that I'm called to do, and balancing that out. And then, of course, that's before we even mention our own families and all of those things. So those things definitely at war with one another. And I think generally being a people pleaser is a good thing. But I imagine, Ben, you've had plenty of conversations with people pleasers in your office. There's just
Absolutely.
a limit. There's a limit to what you can do.
There's so many. We talk about this from a standpoint of expectations.
Mhm.
One of the things that Ryan Fraser talks about with depression with teenagers, one of the things that causes that is this idea of expectations. And I think that that's certainly an issue that we come across. Is there's so many people who have expectations for us. When we're teenagers, it's our parents and coaches and friends and self and teachers and everybody that we come across. And I think sometimes it's hard not to want to meet all those expectations, but it's also very impossible to meet all those expectations. And I think I find, one of the things for me that maybe wages war is, and I saw a post about this week. I think it was Jake Sutton that reposted or shared this personality type that supposedly has been found. I haven't really researched this to know it, but it was, when I read it, I was like, well, that's probably me. It's like the introvert. I don't know if that's how they say it, but it's supposedly this personality type that doesn't fit into the introvert or extrovert thing. And it's that you love to be around people, but then you have to have the introverted, time alone to like recharge. You don't just recharge with more people. And I feel like that probably is a good description of me. Is I love to be around people, but I kind of like to be by myself too. And I don't get a whole lot of by myself time with 7 people living in my house. So I think that sometimes wages war, because it's like I really want to be around people and I have that fear of missing out, but I also don't want to, I also want to retreat every now and then and sort of be on my own. So.
All right, Ben. For better or for worse, what music affects your mood?
I think all music affects my mood. I'm a music person. Like I don't know if the music affects my mood or if I listen to the music because of my mood. That's the problem. Is I probably occasionally listen to music that goes along with the kind of mood I'm in. But man, when it comes to, if I listen to some sappy songs about, dads or parenting or something like that, I'm gonna probably get emotional a little bit. So I would probably say some tearjerker, either like contemporary Christian that kind of deal with that sort of thing, or some country music that's sappy, that sort of stuff. I can fall prey to that a little bit.
Yeah,
That's
in
not a
high
bad
school,
thing.
big time, I think I listened to country music, and it certainly affected my mood, made me sad and down. And for some reason, I enjoyed it back then, and now I try to avoid it like the plague. But I will say this, that I don't listen to enough music, I don't think. We were actually on the way home from small group tonight, and I just started playing music on my phone. It's like, I'm always taking in information. I feel like there's not a time I'm listening to podcasts or editing podcasts, or even if I'm on my phone and scrolling, it's like 60-second just booms of information, whether it's true or not. I don't know why I said information like I was in a 80s country, whatever. But anyways, and so I don't listen to enough music, and I'm not interested at all about new music. It's all old stuff on my phone, but it's typically upbeat. But I need to get back to listening to music, and maybe not just uploading information all of the time. So maybe I need a little mood alteration from time to time. I've gotten to the point now where I listen to classical music, or at least hymns played classically. And so that's been.
Well, in the mornings on the way to school, my kids control the radio, so that sometimes affects my mood.
Yeah, I guess you're getting all that new Taylor Swift stuff, right?
Oh, thankfully not too much of it, but I do get some Benson Boone and some, really cheesy Disney TV, made for TV movie stuff. So sometimes, yeah, it can affect my mood, just not in a real positive way. Oh, that's okay. So next for you, do you need to be more optimistic, Travis, or do you need to be more realistic?
I think going back to maybe even the original question, there's the things that I say, there's the things in which I act, but then there's this internal monologue, right? That's going on. And I think that they generally offset each other in a good way. The Bible tells us, right, that really the issues of life, the problems of life, the nasty parts of us are in our heart, right? And then you have this whole world that's going, oh, just trust your heart, go with your gut. And that's not a message found in scripture. And so it's this Holy Spirit action of my whole life isn't dependent on, once again, the people pleaser. There's a battle there of what this person says or this person does. And I don't have a whole lot of trust in them getting it right. I don't have a lot of trust in myself getting it right. And so I guess my answer would be, depends on what day it is. A Sunday morning Bible class, Sunday worship, man, I mean, I'm like on top of the world. Like I count down the days till the church is back together. Same thing for Wednesday night. But then, there is there's the spiritual reality, which I believe is the ultimate reality. But then there's also the wisdom that comes with that, understanding that you can't build your house on what everybody else says, and your relationship with Jesus has to be personal. And so I think the Bible does a great job of balancing it out. If you read it for what it's saying, don't trust yourself. You need to be real about yourself and your limitations, but also try to have the perspective on others as being a soul made in the image of God. And you need to encourage those folks. Now, sometimes, Ben, both of us, if we've lived long enough, have had that person that their level of encouragement is blunt honesty. And hopefully we've learned to kind of just take that and go, okay, well, what's true there and how can I make it better, but
yeah. Well, I think for me, I think realistic is maybe, I've tried to become more realistic on things. I've always been kind of an optimist. It's not that I don't want to be optimistic anymore. I am, but I think a lot of times it's when we are way too, it's talking about those expectations again. When we have really high expectations of everybody and everything, then, the realistic or the actual reality, if it's a lot less, then what makes up the difference in that expectation and reality is discouragement, disappointment. So I try to be real about things. I try not to set those bars too high, because I feel like a lot of people, when they do that, whether it's an expectation I have for you or an expectation I have for my wife or my kids, it's great to have expectations, but it's also great to, recognize that, there's none good, no, not one. So, we all mess it up. We all fail at some things. And so, just not getting too high up there on this is what, has to happen.
Is your church looking for meaningful ways to make a kingdom impact? Healing Hands International has been partnering with churches for more than 30 years to make real change possible. HHI is a faith-driven nonprofit that leads life-changing programs like Walk for Water, where communities come together to raise awareness and funds to drill wells around the world. But that is just the beginning. HHI works to aid, equip, and empower communities around the world, teaching families how to grow sustainable gardens or helping women launch small businesses to support their families. And the best part? All of these programs are done in partnership with local church leaders, empowering gospel opportunities. There are so many ways you and your church can get involved. You can host your own Walk for Water. You can pack gift boxes for kids through the Magi program or host a seed packing event. Learn more and get involved today at hhi.org. That's hhi.org.
The Healing Hands International question of the day. Ben, what did you do that drove your parents crazy? That I want to know, because it seems like I think of Kirk and I think of Dale and I think, Ben had to be the good kid, right?
Yes, that's true. But I'm sure there were a lot of things that drove him crazy. I remember specifically one thing that drove Dad crazy was when we were kids, you and I mean, pretty much like ate, slept, breathed football, like as kids. I mean, we were playing in the yard football. We were watching every game. And back then it was like relying on the Jefferson Pilot game of the week or whatever, to be able to watch. And now it's like, can you imagine us as kids when we could have watched
I would be worthless.
It's wall to wall Saturday football now. And it used to be, pretty small amounts. We didn't get to watch even every Alabama game back then. So, I mean, we just lived it. It was always football. And for a kid that I never even played football, I just liked to watch it and play it in the backyard. But I can remember loving to watch Monday Night Football. Come home, going to watch Monday Night Football on the TV. And the entire time we had these like stuffed footballs, Alabama, white, red. You remember those? And I'd either have that one or I'd have some real football, whatever, in my hand. And I remember treating the couch like it was the lineman. Oh, yeah. And I'd be diving into the couch the entire time, stacking pillows, running into them, watching the game and doing that. And it drove Dad nuts. He's like, will you stop jumping into the couch? I just remember him getting on to me several times, just like, because I couldn't sit still and I was going to be I was going to be running into stuff just like that. So, and I would do that with baseball. I'd wad up aluminum foil and have him throw pitches to me, and we'd turn the living room into, a baseball field. So I know my energy got on my parents' nerves on occasion. Yeah. So, and I'm pretty sure your energy probably did.
Oh, yeah. Funny you mentioned that. Today we had a visitor from Riverside come down, and they got a little boy that's Daniel's age. We're out throwing the ball out in the thing, and that little boy starts getting rough and like tackling Haley and tackling Daniel. And I'm just standing over there like loving it because, whatever. And I think the boy's parent was looking at me like thinking I was going to get mad. And I was like, no, this is how I spent my childhood. It's like when I was Daniel's age, we were out knocking the stuffing out of each other out there. And so I was loving it. I told him that, I said, hey, that's how your dad spent Saturdays for the first 12, 13, 14 years of his life out there. funny enough. And I knew the whole Alabama football schedule and go through it, listening to your point, listening to Eli Gold
Yeah.
on the car radio while my dad worked on, or whatever, whatever in the yard.
And just rolled down so we could hear it.
Yeah. And so that definitely, it would be energy. Unlike you, I was the middle child. And of course, Bradley, having cerebral palsy, didn't do a lot of the normal things that kids do. And so I was not only the middle, but I also was like the showman, because like everything I did was such a big deal because, he walked, he talked, he did all these things. And so then my little brother came along and, stole it just because he was the baby.
Yeah.
And so I know that I drove my mom crazy picking on Kevin, just like wearing him out all of the time. And so I feel like a big hypocrite when I discipline Haley for mistreating her little brother. But then it's like, hey, so shout out to you, Kevin, for being so forgiving and still talking to me or replying to my texts when I send them. But I know that had to have gotten on their nerves for sure. But,
no doubt.
Well, I appreciate everybody listening as usual. Ben, appreciate the time late on a Sunday night, especially when there's Sunday night football on, right? That you could be diving into the couch or throwing Cypress into right now, which I'm sure he would enjoy. Which is funny that Daniel and Cypress and of course, Starks. You go up there on the cabin on Maywood and it's like Ben and Travis redo in the same cabins that we were in. So they look forward to that. Of course, Maywood has gotten pretty popular down here. We've been asked, I think, every week, hey, are we still going to Maywood? And I'm like, yes, we're going to Maywood, Lord willing. And Daniel's like, good, because I never get to see Cypress. And I'm like, we're going to make it work, buddy. We're going to make it work. So you can pass that along to Cypress. We're counting down the days for Maywood. And I'm like, you'll probably see him at Thanksgiving too. We're going to see him before then. So that'll be exciting for them.
There will be some times.
Yeah. Well, you take it easy, Ben. You guys listen at home. Thank you for listening. Like I said, be sure to reach out with the answers. Comment below if you're watching the video, what your answers to these questions are, and have a great week.
Have a good one. Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.